this picture that looked like a mess of geometric figures and lines. In fact, the background to this is that Earth is filled with fantastic monuments from prehistorical time that no one can really explain who did them and why and how could they do this. I think in first hand of the pyramid of Egypt, the one you can search down to here, and these fantastic monuments with the sphinx in the entrance, that is one point which one cannot explain. I mean, just one of the pyramids, Chopra pyramid, it contains 2.3 million stones, each of the stones about 20,000 kilo. And Chopra, he say, they made this in 20 years. One can say that it cannot be true. I mean, if they wanted the slaves or whoever they say made this, put the stones in place perfectly within 20 years and let them having a chance to sleep and also take part in the production of food for the Egyptians, then they had to put one stone every 4.5 minutes in 20 years. And this is just one of the pyramids. There are in Egypt, there are up to 100 around the world. And some are even bigger than the ones in Egypt. For example, in Bosnia or in China, they have found bigger ones. Now, when I started to think of these gigantic things, my interest fell on Baalbek and the temple in Baalbek. Baalbek is a very old city, and the temple is very, very old. And in this construction, the ground for this temple, that for a while was a Roman temple, there are stones that is over 2 million kilo and put on top of other stones along this line. Then my eye fell on a hexagonal starting point of this temple and thinking, this is a lead somehow, because I have got the idea from somewhere that the old civilizations, they loved hexagonal forms and believed that the whole world was built in these forms, and that it was also part of the key to life and how the world is built. One can see in a way that the lion, for example, protecting the Forbidden Town in Beijing, this lion has under the paw a globe, and this globe is figured with hexagonal figures, meaning that they meant the whole world could be divided in hexagonal. In my case here, I followed this hexagonal one line and it leading to the pyramid in Egypt. Another line, it goes straight to volcano like in Santorini and in Etna volcano on Sicily. And in the other end, this line, it ends in the ziggurat of Ur. I found this very interesting and think this line has some meaning. Then I took a line from Hagia Sophia, big church in Istanbul, because it was maybe the biggest monument later on in when the Romans ruled. I took the others end in the pyramid and Cairo. Straight line and say this is the north line, and then I put in Athens, Acropolis, the town Bardia, that's not so big thing today, but could be divided in a perfect hexagonal. And then I added more to the hexagonal system. I have not made all of them here, but the system ends in a place that is really very interesting, and it is called Sahara's Eye. And it's the center of a hexagonal here, and this is almost exactly from description that Plato described when he told the story about the Atlantis that the gods decided to eradicate. And he had heard the story from a friend that had visited Cairo and met a priest of the pyramid. So that is where the story emanated. This eye of Sahara's Eye cannot normally be seen from the ground. It was first when we saw it from satellite that people said this looked like an eye, and with amazing colors if you put it the right picture from satellite. It is surrounded by minerals. It's also in itself a mineral coming up from underground. And this mineral magnetite is of course important if you thinking of the magnetic thing and the machinery of different kinds. And there are many mines, even active today, that producing these different minerals. Some maybe in some way was very important for the Atlantis people and for the people ruling the world by that time. Maybe the pyramids were kind of energy machines. We don't know, because one thing we know, they were not graves for any mummies or anything. There are no inscriptions inside them. The Indians, the Mesopotamians, the people in Egypt, no one has anything describing how these were built, and in detail, not in any way. They just were there. Later on, the ones making these things maybe appeared to the people in Egypt and India and so, and helping people make fantastic excavations of material in mountain to dig out the old temple from a massive mountain. There are many such examples, by the way. Now, anyway, this was from the hexagonal system emanating in this, you can say, Cairo-Istanbul line. If you follow the, I call it volcanic line, and then take another interesting line, and that is from starting in Dublin, parting Stone Age, Paris, Rome, and down to the southeast point of the Egypt-Sudan country, where you find in the ending interesting temples. In fact, often forbidden, these places, but this is really interesting. I mean, big things. If we go up along this line, and then well, other pyramids passing. Anyway, where this line passing the volcanic line, I call it, we will take that as a center, and the circle exactly same size as the one we have here in green. Here in this case the circle is in orange color, and it passed the Acropolis in Athens, it passed Rome, the say St. Peter's Church, and Tunis and Tripoli, and then very old town that is now mostly ruins, that is a little bit southeast of Tripoli. Anyway, if I make with the same size a ring and put Rome in center, I can start making a hexagonal system, and these hexagonals also end up in the Sahara's eye. Then okay, I took this as a point to start a new line from Sahara's eye, passing a little bit north of Rome in Etruscan center, and in the end of this line you'll find Beijing, Peking, and the Forbidden Town. And in the Forbidden Town you have a perfect north line. They really marked it out clearly. So I have here marked this with yellow, and we go up to the North Pole, or we can say in direction North Pole, because North Pole moved little here and there. But this yellow line, from being the north line there, cross over the blue line that connects, let's say, Cairo and Istanbul. This blue line was the north line in that figure, and if you take this as a center point for a circle and drag it down so you come through Beijing, Peking here, this line passing the pyramid of Cairo, and it also passing the Sahara's eye, so you have it in this way also as a cross point. And that's of course interesting, meaning that they in one time was on same line around the globe. Maybe when the globe was half the size, this could have been the equator. I have never tested it, but it is of interest to find out how come that these important places with things you cannot explain, they hang on same line. And Beijing is absolutely a very, very when you go back to ancient cultures, they're sitting on some kind of secrets. There are other lines that also passing through the interesting points, and that is, you take the Sahara Eye and you take the Egypt pyramid. You passing the very, very interesting Persepolis in Persia, and you go on with the line and passing another very, very, very important part, and that is the Angkor Wat temple in Cambodia. This line is made up by historians that also study the old monuments that you cannot explain, like the thing you find in Cusco or in Machu Picchu or in Baalbek and other. This I marked here as a light green line. It passes also Eastern Island with the big stone monument where they dig up one after the other. So this is the background to why meaning this could have been the Atlantis. You say, yeah, but it's on land. And they say it disappeared in the sea. Man must think that during a long time, Sahara was mostly a sea. Italy and Sicily and Africa was connected. You could not go through there with the boat. In fact, it was fixed land. Malta was on land that time. So the entrance to if you want to sail out of this part of Mediterranean Sea, the one east of Italy, then you have to sail out south of the Atlas mountain chain, through Tunis and further on here, and you're passing the Sahara's eye, called the thing that, and it was an island that time, surrounded by two big rivers, by the way. They are underground nowadays. Okay, then was of course an western part of the Mediterranean Sea that was from Italy to Spain and out. We are not sure exactly how they connected, but man can say for sure that I found both skeletons of whales and dolphins and a lot of shells and things in the ground in whole Sahara, telling that these were places that was underwater long time. And I say that the thing you can see on the pyramids and on the Sphinx is an erosion made by water, absolutely. And the water took important part of the pyramid, but they were so big and strong that they could withstand anyway. Maybe thousands of years of streaming water. You see on the map easily the line of streaming water, the flooding through Sahara. And Sahara in that time was probably very green, very nice, a place where lots of cultures had the ground. And that time, when the place was on the equator, it was a climate that was maybe suitable very nicely, because same time you had the ice time up there, covering fantastic areas over Canada, 3 kilometers of ice. The rest is here on Grönland. It also covers Scandinavia and big part of Europe, almost down to the Alps. And when they started melting, of course the water must stream everywhere, and they took the chance to stream through Sahara, even a little bit more easily from what is, we say, nearest of Cairo, in fact, and through Sahara down and ending up in the Niger River. You still find the rest of these and many oases that find the water underground and can dig it up. So this is the base for my idea that we had this town on land, but partly, of course, in the sea also. And that time, when the whole thing started, is so far back that they have more or less disappeared in history, but many nations, many cultures have described this total catastrophe when God decided to eliminate maybe humanity and crush this Atlantis. That time can have been, let's say, 65 million years ago, when Africa was positioned up here and connected to North America and South America. And then came the big crash, maybe comet of ice. And man can see this enormous power. It pushed waves of ground material. And you see also how Africa drag away on the bottom, the rather speedy, in fact, it looks. And in a way it was. Now they say, Earth is not swelling, it's just some few centimeters per year. But I mean, multiply that with, for example, 65 million years and you get quite a distance. So this, my feeling is that this Atlantis here, long ago, was where one can say Bermuda or somewhere there, the position of it. And the globe was half the size of what is today. The North Pole could have been almost same. And this position that is marked here, where the line from we can say, Cairo, Istanbul line, meeting the Beijing line, the blue and yellow here, this maybe was the North Pole for a globe much smaller than today. What one can say, after finding this thing, if it is the true story, then one can say that in all different religions they have described that God talked to the people and he said, nothing is new before the eye of God. What happens has happened before, and what happens now will happen again. From this one can say that we have not learned anything. All the things we wanted to preserve, let's say we got a catastrophe where suddenly the sea raised with 1,000 meters. I mean, humanity died out immediately all. There is nothing left, maybe on a mountain top, some few standing there. The data, all the thing we try to save about our life, our culture, everything, in Facebook, in Google, in fantastic, you can say, libraries in computing. I mean, they are in the level of the sea, and they will be destroyed immediately, of course. So it's not so smart planning. You can say, why not instead take this in the smallest kind of memory you can find, same we use in my mobile phones, whatever. I mean, where you have gigabytes on crystals that you maybe can measure that 4 times 4 millimeters. Put together in a bunch and hide in the safest mountain chain on Earth, and that must be the Scandinavian mountain chain. Could that be one idea to learn from this history? But as I see it, of course it is very, very interesting to know how could these old cultures, which we don't know what they were, how could they eliminate the gravitation? How could they cut in stone materials with a fantastic precision? What kind of machinery did they have? Of course, if you could find any more leading thing, I mean, something.
Then man can say that this could be very good for humanity, and we didn't have to burn the energy sources we have in form of oil or vegetation. It's a thing to dream of. Thank you.